What's going on, NBA fanatics? This is your friendly neighborhood Memphis Grizzlies homer, Memphis X, and I talk hoops. Today, I am talking about the last preseason game for the Memphis Grizzlies. But first, every hero needs their theme music.
Piano.
Grizz gang, go hard. Yeah. Baddest in the game, we be on one. I talk hoops, so secure. All up on the court, but we gon' score. Memphis bringing heat straight from Tennessee. Ja Morant spiking, let's go for he that MVP.
Well, the short sprint of the preseason is complete, and it's time to take a breath and get ready for the long marathon of the regular season. The Grizzlies beat the Detroit Pistons on the road, 126 to 111, to take their preseason record to 3-2. Detroit Pistons are 0-4. And I guess like I told you guys, I didn't expect the starters to play. They played because they played so poorly in Orlando, but they didn't play much. All of them played about 24 minutes. Steven Adams went out a little early because he had a little stinger in his neck. But all in all, most of the starters played well, all except Dylan Brooks, who had another horrendous shooting night, 2 for 13 from the field, 0 5 from 3, I think following a 1-6 last night. The other game against Orlando. He was plus 11, but that was mainly because he was on the floor with Ja Morant. But 13 shots and 6 points is fucking horrendous. It is terrible. And it's like, I'm going to leave my Dylan rant for later. But let me just tell you, among the Grizzlies fan base, it was not a good look. But everybody else kind of played pretty much as expected. John Kochar, 7 rebounds in 20 minutes. That's his thing. But the story of this game was Ja Morant making his MVP statement, getting ready to go into the season. 12 for 21 from the field, 1 for 2 from three-point line, 6 for 8 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, only 2 turnovers, 31 points in 25 minutes. And when I tell you guys, the same message I've been preaching almost the entire offseason, this is going to be an MVP season for Ja Morant. This is going to be one of the greatest guard seasons in NBA history. And I don't say that lightly. I think he is going to do some crazy shit this year. I think he's going to have a wonderful season. I'm not saying he's going to have a season better than Steph's historic season. No, I'm not saying that. That season was crazy. But I think this season, the highlights, the plays, the execution, the killer instinct down the stretch, I think you're going to see something phenomenal. Get your tickets if you can, because by the end of the season, tickets are going to be hard to come by. Just enjoy the games. If you can catch them on TV, do that. Enjoy this season, because this is going to be a special season by Ja Morant. Desmond Bane was 7 of 16 from the field, 1 of 7 from the three-point line, 1 of 1 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, 16 points, and his shot wasn't even falling. And if you watched the game, you didn't even notice that he was 1 of 7 from three-point line. Until they mentioned it during the game, I didn't even realize it. He was playing so well otherwise that it didn't seem to matter. He is becoming an elite shooting guard, but he is well-rounded, able to create off the dribble for himself and the others. It is getting scary hours with Desmond Bane. I think he's going to have a huge season. I think the Grizzlies are going to have clearly the best backcourt in the league. And I think it's going to be Santi Aldama had another good game, 6 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 1 turnover, 24 minutes, 3 of 6 from the field, capped off a great preseason for him, really great preseason. And Steven Adams was doing Steven Adams things. He does his thing. But some other good stories was Tyus Jones got his shot together, 2 of 4 from the field, 1 of 2 from three-point line, hit a floater, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 3 assists, 1 turnover. He played a lot better. Still missed some reads. Xavier Tillman played pretty well, but it was in garbage time. The 2 rookies, Jake LaRavia, well, the 3 rookies basically, Jake LaRavia, David Roddy, and Kennedy Chandler, all played well. Jake LaRavia, shot wasn't falling from deep, but he did score 10 points in 23 minutes. And his defense continues to be something that's probably going to get underrated all season. But, of course, he came up with a block and a steal. He seems to get a block and a steal a lot. And it's so funny because he's making up for what Melton used to do, but he does it without playing out of position and gambling a lot. He gets a lot of off the ball blocks, a lot of steals off the ball, and he doesn't get it gambling. He gets it making good reads. And this is crazy because he is a rookie playing in preseason. And you saw it some in the summer league, and you even saw it early in the preseason. He is just and I hate to say this, but he just does some smart things on the basketball court. David Roddy was pure aggression scoring. That's what he needs to be. He needs to be the off the bench, off the dribble scorer, spot up shooter. With him, if you can get the bench unit of him, LaRavia, and Brandon Clark, that's a lot of guys. And Isaiah Williams with Brandon Clark and Tyus Williams. It's a lot of guys who should be able to put the ball in the basket, along with John Conchar. I'm not too worried about the bench like a lot of people are with losing Kyle Anderson and DeAnthony Melton. I think the bench is going to be just fine. I'm not really worried. Of course, they're going to have some dark days counting on so many young players, but they have a base of Tyus, Brandon Clark, and Zaire Williams, and they even have Xavier Tillman and John Conchar if they don't even want to play rookies. But I think the rookies are going to force their way into the rotation this season. And when Jaren gets back, it's going to be real, real tough because that means Santi's going to fall out the starting lineup. And I think Santi's going to be playing well enough where he's going to get minutes. And the Santi, Brandon Clark pairing off the bench just makes so much damn sense. And you can rotate both of them with Jaren, both of them with Steven Adams. That 4-man big rotation is going to make a lot of sense now and in the playoffs. So it's going to be guys are going to have to really perform all season to keep themselves into the rotation or to even get a peek in the rotation. Luckily, it's an 82-game season. Guys are going to miss time, so guys have to be ready when it's time to be ready. Now, looking at the enemies, our guys, the Detroit Pistons, who I love their team. The one thing I did notice about them was, they had a bad shooting night. Cade Cunningham had a bad shooting night. Jaden Ivey had a bad shooting night. But that backcourt of Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham is going to be huge. That is a big backcourt. And those guys, when you saw Jaden Ivey across from Ja Morant, he looked big. But when you saw him against Kennedy Chandler, he looked humongous. He is a big guy that's going to be guarding the point guard position. And he's going to be a hard guy for smaller point guards to handle in transition. And there's nowhere for point guards to run to in transition with the Detroit Pistons if they push the ball up. What are they going to do? Run to Bogdanovic, Saddiq Bey, Beef Stew, Cunningham. There's nobody for them to run to in their starting lineup. And I did not know Jalen Duren was rebounding like this. He averaged 12 rebounds in the preseason, the first 3 games. He got 12 last night in 19 minutes. 6 personal fouls. He fouled out. But the guy's rebounding like a maniac. I think it's just a matter of time. Well, Beef Stew's playing so well. So, they got time. They're in no rush. They don't need to do anything this season. They don't even really need the first or second pick, even though it would be nice for them, of course. Nobody's turning down Wemby or Scoop, but they don't really need that. If they get any pick in the top 10, they should be able to add a quality guy to play the other forward next to Saddiq Bey and be a long-term fit for them. But like I said, this was Ja Morant's. If people got discouraged because he missed so many shots against the Orlando Magic, he was sending his warning sign to the NBA. And I tell you guys, the guy is going to come out like gangbusters like he did last year before he turned his ankle. He's going to come out like gangbusters this year, and he's going to put the NBA on notice. I'm calling it 38-8 for Ja Morant this year, at least with a MVP. And the Grizzlies are going to have the best record in the league. So you've heard it here first. Of course, I am your resident Grizzly homer, and I am not ashamed of that. But remember, we got some videos coming in to get us ready for the season. We got a long way until Wednesday, the 19th. So we're going to do a preview of some of the Grizzlies matchups against other teams, especially playoff teams in the West. And we're going to talk about our guy, Santi Aldama, and preseason performances of the Grizzlies and some other things going into this season. But like I said, subscribe to my channel, hit that bell for notification, like this video so we can get that algorithm popping like pops. And I will see you guys tomorrow with the next video. Peace.